This is Gamers on Tap, the podcast for the thinking gamer, where happy hour meets gaming culture. And on the show today, I will be talking about your gaming setup. I am your host, Gunnar, and you're listening to the February 17th, 2014 edition of the Gamers on Tap podcast. Hello, friends and gamers, and thanks again for listening. So who here went to the movies this weekend? I'm sure some of you have. That Lego movie is supposed to be really funny. But I'll tell you this, I am not going to see that movie. Okay, my kids are freaking grown. I am tired of going to see animated movies. I don't care how funny and relatable it is. I'm just not doing it. I've paid my dues. I've gone through that phase. I don't have to see every single animated movie that comes out. Okay, that's just a little bit of me venting, because I'm tired of people telling me how great this movie is. I don't care. Lego movie, I don't care. I am more interested in RoboCop, but I can't find anybody that wants to see that movie with me. Probably for good reason, but I can't help it. That's my childhood. I want to go back to that. Because, yeah, even though I shouldn't have seen the original RoboCop, I don't know, I was in my teens. I snuck into the theater. It was on base. It was on the Air Force Base. I was visiting my dad for the summer, and I don't know how I got in to see that movie, but I did. I watched it by myself in the theater, and it was amazing. My mind was blown. I was like, wow, this is awesome. I've never seen anything like this before. So anyway, yeah, the movies. People are going to the movies. Is the movie theater like some sort of weird place that exists outside of space-time? I mean, the behavior that takes place inside a movie theater can't be replicated anywhere else, I don't believe. I mean, it's a place where maybe, 40, 50, 60, 100, 150 people, I don't know how many people can sit inside a movie theater, but a lot of people, right? All facing the same direction. Your seats are so close to each other, it might as well be airplane seating, and the lights go out, and everybody's whispering to each other in their own little private conversations, which, by the way, everybody else can hear if they're sitting next to you. And then it's bad enough you have a big tub of popcorn that you're just shoveling into your mouth, because that's been the staple of movie theater food for, I don't know, since movies, right? But now you can get nachos and pretzels and hot dogs and pizzas. Who goes to the movie theater and buys a pizza? And I'm sure some of you listening have done that. I do not understand it. I mean, yeah, pizza, you can still eat it with your hands, and nachos as well, but, maybe I'm weird, but I like to have pizza on a plate, and I like to have like a fork and a napkins on standby, just in case there's a mess, because pizza, you got the cheese and all the toppings on top, and it's not really cooked into the bread, so it's real easy just to slide right off. So yeah, you have all these people just shoveling all kinds of food into their mouth while they watch this movie. Oh, and by the way, we can all hear it. It's like, if the movie theater wasn't so damn loud, all you would hear is just the accumulation of just crunches and slurping and smacking. Oh my God. And everybody just thinks it's okay. Like, yeah, that was awesome. I love going to the movie theater. I love sharing this experience with other people. I just want to be crammed next to other people while I shove nachos down my throat and drink from the largest cup of soda I've ever seen in my life. And meanwhile, everybody's trying not to go to the bathroom. You're just drinking all that soda, eating all that food, sit there for 2.5 hours, especially if it's like some sort of, James Cameron or Michael Bay, big CGI-fueled movie. Sit there and then try not to get up, because that would be rude. Not laughing and spitting out popcorn kernels over to the hair of the people sitting in front of you. That's not rude. All right, why am I ranting about this? I was just thinking about, being a couch potato, and it got me thinking about the movies. You sit there in that chair, but it's a predetermined amount of time. I mean, you're only going to be sitting in that chair during the movie. But let's say you're at home and you're watching television. You can sit on the couch, It's President's Day weekend. You can sit on the couch and you can binge watch your favorite television shows, and you can just not get up from that spot. All right, so that's kind of being a couch potato, right? That's unhealthy. And so then I started thinking about gamers. How does that affect us gamers? Well, we're constantly trying to, fight off the stereotypes of, we're the lazy gamer. The guy who's just, or the girl who just sits around, in the pajamas playing video games from, sunrise to sunset. Well, so what if that happens to be true? It's not as bad as the couch potato or going to the movies. When you're playing a video game, there's a little bit more interaction. But I'm going to give you some tips that I have followed or that I've incorporated. Didn't necessarily invent, but these things are kind of helpful. But first, I don't even want to talk about the dangers of gaming because, like I said, that's a stereotype we're constantly fighting. I want to give you some points, some things to think about and talk about that will slap down that stereotype of, hey, you're a lazy gamer. You just sit around on your ass all day, looking at colorful pictures on your video game machine monitor. So first off, this is an article from Danny Gallagher of theweek.com. You can go ahead and research and fact check his stuff. I'm just going to take it for what it's worth because it's on the internet, right? If it's written on the internet, it has to be true. And the same goes for someone who said, hey, video games cause violence. Who out there went back and tried to fact check or do more research on that study that came out of Canada a couple of weeks ago? Nobody. It's on the internet. I saw it in my Facebook feed. Therefore, it must be true. Okay, so this guy, David Gallagher, he gets his information from the 2009 Annual Review of Cybertherapy and Telemedicine. So yes, this article and review could be biased, but hey, let's not worry about that right now. Okay, it talked about video games, number one, can relieve stress. They found that gamers who suffered from mental health issues, such as stress or depression, they were able to, which by the way, there was another study, this is out there on the interwebs, that young people are actually more stressed than older people, and young being anybody like basically under 30. And they attribute all the screen time and all the second screen time that young people spend. They're constantly worrying about their updates and what other people are doing. And basically Facebook is one of these social medias. Well, it's the social media, right? But you're trying to project the best image possible of yourself by Facebook. And that's why I just stopped using Facebook a couple of years ago, because it just got to be too much. One, I don't even put a picture of myself up there. I just put like a picture of a pirate or something, or the Tampa Bay Buccaneers logo up there, because I'm like, you know what? This is the best possible image of me. You don't want to see a picture of me. You don't want my receding hairline, You could track by the month if I'm actually running and lifting weights, because you'll see a little bit more fat around my chin, and then it'll start to disappear. Why? I don't need to update pictures of myself on Facebook. That's stressful. So I understand that it can be stressful, especially for young people who feel the need to constantly update their Facebook profiles with the best possible image of themselves. And that's really what Facebook is about. So yeah, that can lead to stress. I understand that. But they're able, if you're a video gamer, you're able to vent that stress and frustration and aggression through the video games. The study hypothesized that gamers with a certain type A personality, they could actually find a state of relative mindlessness. You're basically zoning out, right? And that's good, because those people who are always high-strung and they're always on the go, they can actually sit down, calm down, and relax playing a video game, while they're running around blowing stuff up. But I tell you this, when I played Halo 4 last week, man, there was a game where I was playing and I felt like my heart was about to jump out of my chest because I was so worried. It was so tense. I didn't want to die. I was trying to line up the headshots, and my shields are blinking, and it's blinking red and warning me I'm about to die, and my teammates, they're dying, and the score's getting closer, and oh my God! I was so stressed. But it was a good kind of stress. I mean, I guess games can be stressful, but I guess that stress is better because it takes you away from the real life stress that you might be experiencing. So I guess that can be kind of a good thing. Video games can provide pain relief. Now, this is the one that I thought, this is kind of nuts. But a psychologist at the University of Washington have developed games to help patients suffering from pain. Basically, they use a mental trick. of distraction. So while you're playing the virtual reality game, it puts the patients in some sort of like Arctic, like Disneyland, Wonderland type scenario, and you're just while playing the game, you're just throwing snowballs at targets. And so what this is supposed to do is that your mind is basically being distracted from your pain, and now you're focusing on this new activity, and therefore you feel better. So, I mean, right? Pain relief. Again, it's about trying to take advantage of what video games offer. A little bit of distraction. Your mind is focused on something else. Video games can improve vision. I know that sounds crazy. But it does. But by playing first-person shooters, what it's training your eyes to do is that you're constantly looking at the peripherals of the screen, and you're starting to pay attention to more than one thing at the same time. So your eyes are multitasking. And ask anybody who's ever played a video game, you've just gone through some big long session of Call of Duty or Halo or Battlefield 4, and now you walk outside to go get in your car to go to work, school, or just to the store or the mall. And immediately you're starting to notice every little movement in your peripheral. There's squirrels running up a tree. The neighbors are walking their dog. You can easily count how many cars are driving by on the highway. You were paying attention to a lot more immediately following the video game than you normally would, because a lot of that is you're basically the way your brain works is you're always paying attention to that peripheral, but it's not in your conscious. You don't need to readily access that information. But playing a video game, you need all of that information all at once, all the time. You have to access it all. So it starts to train your brain to pay attention to every little thing. See, video games are making us superheroes. You didn't even realize that. To hell with those people that say video games make people lazy. No, it makes me goddamn Iron Man. That's what it does. Now, don't go telling people that. They'll just think you're weird. Video games can improve your decision-making skills. Based on that, the whole idea that it can improve your vision, it's the same thing with the decision-making skills. University of Rochester cognitive neuroscientists have they've looked into it, and they basically, what they're saying is that video games essentially are about making decisions and making decisions quickly, and so that you're getting more and more practice. Now, later in the week, I'm going to do an entire show dedicated to gamification, and this is one of the best benefits, I think, of gaming, is that you benefit from it training your brain to make better decisions and make decisions quickly. You don't have a lot of time. And you are learning. The games are teaching you, hey, if you do this that have a bad outcome, this will have a good. And so after time, you learn, and again, your decision making becomes a lot better. So that could be used, outside of video games, but it does make you able to assess situations a lot quicker. Not as much as the character Mac from the TV show It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, where his decision-making ability is, he does the ocular pat-down, assess the situation, clears the suspect. If you don't watch that show, you're not going to get that reference. Maybe you should go ahead and binge watch it on Netflix over the weekend and turn into a couch potato. Order a pizza, popcorn, 2-liter bottle of Coke, and just go to town. Just go to town on yourself. It says video games keep you happy in your old age. Yay, something for me. Researchers from North Carolina State University. That's what they've discovered. And I'm thinking, this is one of the things that's self-serving. It's like, man, how can we get some free video games up in here? I'm really bored. Hey, we're like in our 40s. Video games make us happy. Let's do a study. Get some free games up in here. No, that wouldn't work. That's not what they did. But they did a study, and they figured that, they assessed that senior citizens who were playing video games, they had them, certain amount play video games, certain not, and they reported higher levels of happiness and well-being after playing the video games. And that could also be due to the whole idea that you identify with your virtual characters. So if you're doing well in video games, you actually, you get a self-esteem boost. Just like when you do poorly in video games, it has the opposite, reaction. I know that for myself. If I'm doing horrible in a video game, I am so just angry at the world. I can't even think straight. Which Which let me back up and go back to the whole gaming setup. So why did I talk about those benefits? Well, gaming can have a lot of benefits, but we also need to be conscious that the act of sitting down in the chair and being sedentary while you're playing the video game, that's probably the worst thing that you're doing to your body. Okay? So video games can have all of these other greater health benefits, but we might be negating them by just sitting on our ass. Now, I mentioned before, we're not sitting on our ass just like a couch potato, but look, if you don't get up from that chair, it's the same thing. Now, gamers have different setups. Right now I'm going through the I'm doing a change. I'm going to put my Xbox and my monitor and everything up onto a desk. I'm taking my desk that's out of my home office, and I'm going to move it into my basement man cave, and I'm going to use my desk as my setup, because that seems to be popular for a lot of other gamers, right? And then I'm going to go and get one of those ergonomic desk chairs to use, and which, basically now I'm just sitting at a desk like I'm in an office, like the rest of all the morons out there in the world. But right now what I'm using is one of those old school, those reclinable rocker video game chairs that those were popular like 6 or 7 years ago. I've probably had this for 6 or 7 years. It's just low to the ground, and it's comfortable. I can recline. It's not the healthiest setup, but even if I got that ergonomic desk chair, that's not going to be the healthiest either. Because if you've worked in an office, you realize there's a big push to make the work environments healthier, because just sitting in general is probably the worst thing we can do. And you can look that up online as well. And because it's on the web, it's true. If it's if it's on the web, it's true. And sitting down leads to high blood pressure, heart disease, all of those things. I mean, it's just as bad as smoking. If you sit longer than you stand, it's like you're a smoker. So, what I'm talking about is what they've done in offices. The big move is they're starting to look at different ideas on how to not just arrange the desks or design the chairs, but actually just removing the chairs altogether. I know this sounds like a crazy idea, but the first thing that you can do, and I do this sometimes, is you can take one of those resistance balls, those big bouncy balls you see at the gym, and they're used for the different type of crunches and ab work, core workouts. What you do is you just sit on it. Instead of a chair, just sit on one of those balls. Now, what it does is that you're constantly having to balance yourself. So while not realizing, you're working your core muscles just by sitting on that ball. And you immediately notice if you're hunching over on that ball, because it doesn't feel right. Because if you start to hunch forward and you're creating that bad posture, your butt is going to start pushing that ball backward. So it will force you to want to have good posture while you're gaming. So you could do that, or you could just stand up. Now, I know that seems weird, but it might be a little bit more stressful, but it's probably the healthiest option, is to stand up while you're playing a video game. It's the best option if you work in an office. Stand up at your cubicle. If you can adjust your desk up high, that's the best option. People have gone so far as to try and equip treadmills in their cubicles and offices so that they're standing up, walking on a treadmill while at their desk. And that's combining everything, right? Now, I'm not saying we should go full-on virtual reality Oculus Rift here and incorporate the treadmill. But that might be coming down the line. Like I said, virtual reality and those games with the headsets, the VR headsets like Oculus Rift, we might end up getting just a full motion control, gaming system. But look, here, what I'm talking about is you don't have to buy a Wii fitness board or use your Kinect and play some fitness game or dance game just to actually get some movement and some exercise into your gaming. You can play Titanfall as is and still be a healthier gamer and improve your gaming setup. Because look, we know there's health benefits to gaming, but when you start to actually incorporate some exercise or just good posture while you're playing the video game, the two will go together. One, it's going to improve your, good posture improves your breathing. Improving your breathing leads to more oxygen getting into your blood, which, has to get to your brain, so therefore you're healthier already. And speaking of blood flow, no, I'm not going to go there. Get your mind out of the gutters, people. Wednesday we'll talk about blood flow. When you're playing the games, this is what I do when I'm playing the games and I actually do get stressed, and I start to feel like this is unhealthy. Like I'm just angry, I'm upset, my day is ruined. Take a break to pause. Everybody will say that, just step back from the game for a minute. But what I do push-ups, or I have some dumbbells that are nearby, and I just pump out some curls, or you work on your lats or your shoulders, or do just some sort of exercise that you can quickly pump out a set, and you get the blood flowing. There's more oxygen running to your brain. You're a little bit more pumped up. You actually feel a little bit better. And now you're ready to get back into the game. I just think it's a healthy break from the game. And who can say that it's not actually healthy for your body? I would be surprised if you knock out 25 push-ups after losing a game in Call of Duty, that if you got back on the mic, you're still going to be angry. You're going to be catching your breath a little bit, and you'll be a little bit more calmed down. You'll put everything back into perspective. Yeah, so those are all good. I mentioned all that good health benefits to gaming, and then I kind of mentioned some of my gaming setup. I don't think anything can be done as far as your hands are concerned with the controllers, and a lot of people will talk about their gaming setup and how they like custom controllers or wireless versus wired for connection purposes. I think all of that's a wash in the end. And honestly, the console manufacturers are designing games to be or the controllers to be ergonomic, so they don't want your hands to cramp up. But look, if you're playing video games in long sessions, your hands are going to cramp up. And again, if you're worried about these things, or if you want tips on it, it's the same information is being passed around offices to human resource managers all over this country. It's something that affects everybody. So if you're on a keyboard for anytime you're doing one specific motion with your hands over and over and over again, it's going to lead to some pain and discomfort. So there's no perfect design for a video game or a video game controller. So what you need to do is basically work those hands out as well. It doesn't matter if it's those little like stress balls. I use those from time to time if I start to notice my hands are cramping up. Again, just relaxing your hands, giving yourself a hand massage. Massaging in between your thumb and your index finger right there is one of those stress points. Not only will that get rid of your headache, but it's going to make your hand feel better over time. And that's really all it is. You just need to relieve the pressure and stress that you've built up in your hands from gaming. So that's one you should actually just be aware of. It doesn't matter what type of video game controller you buy. You're not going to find one that's going to be the perfect solution. As far as monitors go and your vision, again, just make sure that you're sitting the appropriate distance away from your monitor. Now that I'm going to actually put my setup on a desk, I'm actually worried that I'm going to be sitting too close to my monitor. Way back when I was in the Marine Corps, I wore glasses, but back then when I was in the Marines, I wore contact lens, and I was this is a kind of a long story, but I'll condense it. I'll give you the shorthand version. So we're doing we're up in the snow, training in the snow. And I went snowblind. I didn't think it was a real thing, but apparently it is. So I get out of the back of the 5-ton where it's dark. We're in the snow. It's in the middle of the day. The sun's reflecting off the white snow. I'm blinking. All I see is like bright orange colors, and and I can't see anything. And I'm blinking. Well, contacts, boing boing, they pop out. And of course, I was so vain. I was so young back then. I'm like, I am not going to carry around a pair of glasses. I wear contact lenses. So now I'm blind. I was blind for the 2 weeks that we spent up there doing cold weather training. So that was a lot of fun, not being able to see. But I made it through it, and I get back to the office, and I'm public affairs, so I'm actually writing, news articles based on these guys' training, and I'm taking photos. And believe it or not, I had some photos that actually came out and were in focus. So imagine that. But here's the funny part. So we're back in the office. I still don't have my glasses because I immediately need to, I got to turn these stories in. Right, my editor is, he's really pissed off at me. So, someone took a picture of me while I'm writing at my desk, And my face is literally like almost touching the monitor. My nose is right up there because I couldn't see, right? So my head is inside the monitor. Now, since then I have glasses, but I have this tendency that I will just start scooting closer and closer to the monitor so that next thing you know, when I'm in the office, my face is almost inside the computer. I don't know why I do that, but I have this worry, this fear that if I set my game setup on a desk, that I'm just going to sit closer and closer. So you have to be careful of that. Now, clearly, in the manufacture of these monitors and televisions will tell you that there's an optimum viewing distance. That's also for the health of your eyes because, these monitors have higher and higher resolution, but believe it or not, that's actually more straining on your eyes. The screens are brighter. There's more colors being shot out to your eyes. Your eyes are actually working harder. So you need to sit a little bit farther back, blink, and take frequent breaks. I know that frequent breaks is hard to do if you're gaming, but just be careful that you're not sitting too close. And then I think you have probably the perfect gaming setup, right? You're sitting on the bouncy ball or you're standing up, you're at a good distance from your monitor, you're taking breaks, you're doing some push-ups, you're working out your hands. I think you're good to go. And then you can enjoy all those good benefits from gaming, and you can tell the people who say that gaming is just for lazy nerds, say, hey, when we control the world and the robots have all taken your jobs, you're going to change your tune, buddy. Now, here's some stuff from Xbox 360 site. Like their health. This is what they suggest for your gaming setup. Make sure that you're comfortable. Right? Make sure that your position does not encourage discomfort. Ooh, that's a safe thing to say, I guess. I guess this is their lawyers say, hey, we need to write this on here so that we don't get sued when somebody ends up with a serious cramp or heart disease because they've been sitting on their ass playing video games for, 25 years straight. Yeah. Take frequent breaks. Okay? Keep a balanced and healthy lifestyle. So basically just saying, hey, make sure that you're healthy outside of the game. That way you can't blame the game on your unhealthy lifestyle. Hey, I'm all about just combining the two, right? I mean, clearly, if you're out there and you're riding a bicycle, and entering the Tour de France and training for Ironman triathletes or triathlons or whatever those things are called, you're not necessarily going to be playing video games that much because your time is going to be spent doing other stuff. This is for people who find relaxation through video games. This is our hobby, okay? And I've given you the tips to say, hey, this is how you can actually have a healthy lifestyle while actually playing your video games. Oh, and eat right, but also not just pizza, popcorn, and soda. You should eat right. And then tools for families. Find out what the user ratings and parent controls and blah 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 blah. All right. Okay. Hey, I'm gonna end it on this other note. Here's another side effect of video games. And I don't know if it's good or bad, but I know I've experienced this. They actually say that when you are an avid video gamer, you tend to have more lucid dreams. And that because you are used to controlling an avatar, through the video game, and you can associate your movements with this avatar, that when you're dreaming, that you actually take control of the dream state, and you have a better chance, I guess, of controlling your dreams, those lucid dreams, than a non-gamer would. Which seems weird. I don't know how that can benefit you, except when your dream turns into one of those, hey, wow, this is every girlfriend I've ever had, all in the same room. What? None of you are mad at me? What? Oh my God. You all want to make out? Maybe then when you can take over the controls, maybe that could be a really good time. I don't know. That could be a really good benefit. Maybe the best benefit to gaming. Okay, thanks for listening, guys. Don't forget to leave a comment, subscribe, share, tweet. Tell your friends about this podcast. Please leave, if you're subscribing on iTunes, if you haven't already done so, you can find it on iTunes. Subscribe, leave a comment there. And don't be afraid to have these discussions. Thanks again. I am Gunnar, and this was the Gamers on Tap Podcast.